Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Dr. Peter Baofu. It's a pleasure to have you on the national TV. We would like you to, before we start properly, you kindly introduce yourself to us. Tell us a little bit about who is Peter Baofu actually.
Let me first say thank you for your invitation. I'm an American visionary and author of 180 different scholarly books in all fields of knowledge in the social sciences, the formal sciences, the natural sciences, and the humanities in relation to the mind, nature, society, and culture, a comprehensive analysis of the whole and humanity. And I have been in more than 160 different countries by now around the world in order to understand humanity on the ground so that I can provide some solutions and vision of the human future. In fact, I have provided more than 150 different visions of the human future already in relation to all fields of knowledge, as I just said, in relation to the mind, nature, society, and culture. And for the purpose, I have been on TV around the world to talk about some of the visions that I have to solve the problems concerning humanity.
I mean, what must have prompted your visionary mindset? Take us through on that.
In relation to?
In relation to the sciences, to the topics that you've mentioned here, what must have really prompted this visionary mission of yours?
My focus is primarily on the entire humanity. It's not on one race, one gender, one group, one ethnicity, one whatever that species might be. So my concern is about the future of humanity affecting all fields of knowledge, not just in relation to one field of knowledge and not in relation to one culture, one race, one group. I have an understanding of the humanity in that analysis.
Okay. And today, of course, we are discussing issues about AI, artificial intelligence. We all know in today's world, I mean, AI has been described as one of the most transformative shift in human technologies. I mean, what's your perspective on the development of AI and its uses in this modern age and generation that we are in?
AI, is of course one of the major important technologies confronting humanity nowadays. But I don't think that it is the most important, because I do think that there are many other things which are also very important affecting humanity too. But for those people who are very interested in AI, they often exaggerate and dramatize as if the AI is everything. No, AI is not everything at all. AI, in my publications, 180 books so far in all fields of knowledge, I have a total analysis of the future of humanity. AI is only one of the entire picture. So don't believe in all those people who are doing AI and they try to give you the impression that they are everything, they are the future. They are not future. AI will not determine the human future. AI is only one thing, but there are many other things in relation to the mind, culture, society, and nature that we have to consider. For example, I just give you a random example. The war going on right now, or the genocide in Palestine, no one is talking about AI. Why? Because AI is not that important in that conflict. People talk about a lot of different things, about genocide, about human rights, about massacre, about war, about historical grievances and all that, about the United Nations. Yeah, but no one is really talking about the AI when you talk about the genocide in Palestine. Why? Because it's not that important. So don't allow those people to mislead you and say AI is like as if they are the future. There are many other things that we have to consider. And in relation to your other question about AI, then of course we have to look into AI because, for example, AI is important in many ways. Let me give you classify them into three major broad domains for discussion. For example, one is the theoretical implication, the other one is the practical implication, the third is the thematic implications. And all of these are very important issues. So I don't know if we have time to talk about each of them, but you can just ask whatever you are interested in, and I will go on and talk about each of them.
Of course, we like you said, AI is perhaps not the whole idea, but we've also seen the advent of AI with regards to ChatGPT, which of course to some extent has been widely used in countries, but most particularly in research and also in scholarly work. I mean, what would you say to the coming of ChatGPT and the overall work of AI towards shifting the overall or education aspect, if you say, in terms of technology and how we put to access information and summarize it?
Yeah, that question about the ChatGPT, that is a question about application. Remember what I just said. I think that I classify them for the sake of the discussion, 3 major domains or broad categories of issues which are very important to talk about AI. And when you mention about the ChatGPT or education or DeepSeek or whatever that might be, and those are the practical applications, those are important, those are practical issues. But in order to understand many of those issues, you also have to understand the theoretical issues and the thematic issues. On the question of the technicality, for example, of GPT, in this case, ChatGPT, that is a small component of the larger set of issues confronting GPT, and which in turn is a set of the larger set of other issues about artificial intelligence, and that in turn is a small set of a larger set of other issues. But anyway, back to the issue about the ChatGPT. Of course, that is important. There is some progress, but again, that is only a small beginning of the future, because I have written many works about this. What the ChatGPT has done is that they are trying to now to teach machines to understand text, for example, and try to make sense of that. In the older day, a old machine, I'm talking about, let's say 40 years ago, 50 years ago, they cannot understand that. Those are stupid machines. But now there's machine with new hardware, new software, they are able to even understand. They can scan the text and you can ask them some question. They may even be able to answer your question based on what the machine has captured, the understanding of the text. So that is a major improvement. That's the beginning of something more. But there's only one step forward. People are already thinking about the next steps. In they talk about the step now, which they have achieved, they are thinking now talking about images, talking about videos, talking about emotions, so that a machine can even understand a tiny movement of your behavior. But that is not now. That is far, far farther into the future. So when you talk about the implication, is that important? Of course it's important, but there's only a small beginning of something further. And that's why many of the robots, especially in China nowadays, that they are one of the major leaders of the robotic revolution right now. For example, they are already carrying out a large application using robots with deep learning and all that. And they are trying to do that in a lot of different applications, in factories, in manufacturing, for example, in gaming. Things have been moving toward that direction, and ChatGPT is only one thing. There are many other things going on. And that's what they call chat. Why did they use the word chat and not just talk about GPT? Well, because chat is just a small component of GPT, and GPT is a small component, a larger issue of many other things. Again, I'm as a scholar, as a visionary, I like to look things at the larger picture. But again, do not allow those people to, they tend to exaggerate, dramatize, because that's what they are doing. And they want to make you believe that what they are doing is like the future, the world, but to put things into the proper perspective.
And of course, that would take me to one of the most, you can say, renowned person in the world, Elon Musk. And he said there will come a time where no jobs is needed because AI would be able to do everything. What do you think could be perhaps the biggest threat of AI, quoting from what was said by Elon Musk in one of his interviews?
By the way, normally I don't talk about Elon Musk. Elon Musk is not the right person for you to talk about when you talk about AI. Okay. Elon Musk is very opinionated on many different issues. He wants to talk about everything. But I'm not going to waste my time talking about him. But I would like to answer your question on the future of AI in that domain. I do think that in terms of jobs, for example, there is the third issue. Remember, I told you about the three categories of domains of issue: theoretical, practical, and thematic. The question about unemployment is the third issue, which is about thematic. There are a lot of issues that we have to look into, and one of them is about the question about unemployment, about job replacement. I disagree, because I think that AI is going to create a lot of opportunities. If you look into the history of technology, every time you create a new technology, especially disruptive technology, they often create some new jobs. But at the same time, they will eliminate the old jobs, which are not needed anymore. Let me give you one example. Now you're working here on TV. How come you do not work as a hunter-gatherer? You understand what a hunter-gatherer is? We are talking about many years ago, thousands of years ago. There was no TV, no nothing, no car, and everyone was working hunter and gatherer. How come you're not doing that now? How come you are sitting here? The reason you do not do that because all those jobs were eliminated. Why? Because the economy now is much more advanced, much more developed than those it was at the beginning of human civilization. Do you want to go back to those days? No, those are the good old days which were gone. And there's something about in the first industrial revolution, when they invented the steam engines, the railway, the people say, oh, this is going to kill a lot of jobs. Those people there riding horses, now they don't need anymore. That's right. We don't need those jobs anymore. Those are primitive jobs. Why do you want to behave like that anymore? Now, do you prefer a car? Why do you ride a horse like this anymore? Is that the future? No. As the economy progresses over time, you have new technology. They are going to eliminate many jobs. Those are wonderful. So that it can free you, humans, from all the things that you do not do anymore. Now you focus on something else that you want to do. And that's why a lot of new technology, disruptive technology, they always create new frontiers of jobs. The job that you are doing now were not available 5,000 years ago, but it's available now. Why are you take this job now? Why do you not go back 5,000 years ago and did what your grand ancestor did? Because those jobs now are not needed in the new environment that we live in. In the future, by the way, another 5,000 years, whatever years there might be, many of those jobs that you have will be robotized. Humans do not do those jobs anymore, and it's wonderful. It's a new human liberation. And for those people now, for example, they lose those jobs, wonderful. Now they can free to do some other things which they could not do before. And in many cases, many times when people have a job, they are not happy with the job that they have. So they always want to do something else. But now is a good opportunity for you to do something else. In the future, as AI progresses and other technologies progress, what is going to happen? New jobs are going to emerge. Old jobs are going to disappear. That's how human evolution is. You never stay the same. You were a baby 20 years ago. How come you are not a baby anymore? Because you grow up. There's something about economy. We grow up. We have to move on to new technologies.
Indeed. Do you think, of course, it is conceivable, that AI can take control or reach to a point where we cannot turn it off and it's making decision for people? Because now you've talked about robots. Of course, they are fast gradually developing in China and other countries. What do you make of this? In my first book, my PhD dissertation at MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in 1995, we are talking about 30 years ago. I wrote my dissertation, and in that book, I proposed one of my first vision of the human future. And at the end of that 2-volume work, which was published in 1999, The Future of Human Civilization, and I asked the question in science fiction that will one day come when the machine becomes so smart, so intelligent that they will
switch off all those buttons that you can push on and off, so that now they are in control. You cannot control them anymore. I'm not that concerned about that, because I remember I'm not a visionary of one idea. I'm not like Karl Marx, communism, or Adam Smith, capitalism, or Sigmund Freud, psychoanalysis. Everyone give you a new idea, and that's what a paradigm. I propose more than 150 new visions of the human future, not just one. In the 150, I have one of the vision I call post-humanity. In this vision, I predict that humans like you and me will not survive anymore. There will be no more blacks, no more Africans, no more Asian, no more Americans, no more German, no more Chinese. We will not survive. There will be new species, I call them post-humans. And who are those people? Or being, or species? I provide many different visions, like floating consciousness, hyperspatial consciousness, floating unconsciousness, planetoids. Of course, now the people talk about humanoid, cyborgs, and all that. Those are only short term. In the longer term, there will be new species coming up which have nothing to do with humans. So when you talk about like a fight between machine and human, that is for science fiction film, Hollywood films. It's sensational. You like to watch, but that's not going to happen in the future, because by the time machine evolve so much, those humans who are interacting with machine, they are not humans themselves anymore. Those are post-humans also. There's no human left. In other words, there will be no fight between a machine and a human, because at that time there will be post-human fighting with post-humans. So in your example about people talk about the point of singularity, which means that will that reach a point? Of course, I think that it has reached that point already in some cases, not in all cases. For example, many years ago, I don't know, maybe you are still young, Deep Blue, the IBM machine, beat the Grand Chess Master in chess competition. So in that sense, Deep Blue was able to beat a human being in terms of chess intelligence. So shall I foresee in the future that they only not beat you in chess, they can also beat you in sport? So is that surprising? No, it's not surprising, but that's what they are good at now, computers. You can forget things. If I asked you 5 years ago what did you do on November 16, 19, and you will say, wow, what did I do on that day? I do not remember. But if you go to your computer nowadays, if you save a file in 1995, and you can say, on that day, I remember that I wrote this letter. In this letter, it's dated November 17, 1995. Your computer remembers something that you cannot even remember, even if you look down on your computer as they serve you. But you do not know that this computer over here, this laptop, can do more than you can do. They surpass you already. In some cases. But in other cases, they have not. That's why we look down on them. But I said in my books, I have written another book on robotics. I said that in the future, all this talk about how we use machine to serve us, in the future, machine will be used to serve machines, not us anymore. We are evolving that direction, but there are a lot of paranoia and fear, but they do not understand that there will be no more humans by that time.
And of course, but I mean, what would you foresee, I mean, in the near future to some of the risks associated with the use of AI?
There are many risks. By the way, this issue that you mentioned is a question about the third categories of issue that I told you at the beginning when I talk about the AI is a very huge domain, and there are many things that we can talk about. I divide them into 3 categories, and each category can be subdivided into subcategory and subcategories and subcategories. So a tons of network topologies that you can talk about AI. There are very many issues. So the issue that you just mentioned now is on the 3rd category. I call the thematic, about themes. And in that category, there are many issues. Let me give you some example. I don't know if we have time to talk about privacy, for example, is an issue. Copyright rights is another issue. Criminality is another issue. Unemployment is another issue. Identity is another issue. Authenticity is another issue. Existential crisis is another issue. You name it. There are so many other issues. And I mean, we can keep on moving. So yes, there is risk, but I think that there's also exaggerated because many of them is just an exaggeration. The opportunity are so much more. Okay. Look. You have a car. You have a motorcycle.
No.
But do you use a bus? Do you use an airplane?
Yes, I do.
Why do you use that?
Bus.
Can you just walk? Can you just use a horse? Why do you not do that anymore? But in the older day, when people invent an airplane or a car, people say, oh, they are going to kill people. Oh, that's no good. We should not invent any of this. Exaggeration. Yes, there are some trade-off in the short term. Those people who are riding horses, there are some people on the street nowadays, even in Gambia. They will lose their job, by the way. They will lose their job. But so what? You are moving to a higher economy now, and you move up, you go up, just like when you were a kid. Now you go up to be adult, the economy too, they graduate to a higher and higher and higher. China, by the way, used to produce a lot of cheap products, you know that, right? But they do not do that much anymore. Now they go to high tech. Now they go to cheap manufacturing, aircraft, robotics, AI, biotechnology, computing, quantum computing, pharmacy, and all that. Why? Why do they just stay there and produce all the cheap products? Because now they are so good that they move on. The economy now is much more advanced. It's no longer agricultural, no longer basic manufacturing. Now they are high-tech now. They move up, trying to become more and more advanced economy now. So the way that you talk, you want to be behind like this, to stay forever in an underdeveloped economy? You want that? I don't think so. So next time when people talk like this, you remind them is that, do you really want to go back? You move forward to a new frontier of human history.
Of course. Peter, you have written 180 academic books in all fields of knowledge. And future humanity. What would you say, was your major breakthrough on your scholarly work that you are undertaking?
I have proposed more than 180 different new theories. Those are the vision of the human future. All of them are breakthroughs. But I will not have time to talk about 180. They will take many hours or many days. But I can give you some examples what I mean by breakthrough in my analysis of the human future. One of them is something that I have already told you. The theory of post-humanity. That's one of my breakthroughs to understand the future of humanity. I remember that when I was at MIT in 1995, when I submitted my PhD dissertation, my PhD advisor, the committee was shocked. They asked me that, wow, I said, can you delete that chapter on post-humanity? He said that it just not needed, and no one is going to be interested in you. You have difficulty to find jobs. Can you just delete that? I said, how can I delete that? That's my vision of the human future. That's my originality. I'm a visionary. No one believe me. But so this is one of the major breakthroughs. In fact, even now when I talk about it, many people still do not believe me. They still dismiss me. Another thing is, I also make a prediction a long time ago. In 1995, for example, in that dissertation, I predicted that China will become the dominant superpower. The US will no longer be one. And the EU will no longer be one. It will be India and China. You know what? At that time when I gave a presentation, you don't know the reaction from the American audience. They call me names. No one listened to me. Now everyone talk about China as the threat. America is declining. I talked about this long time ago. But when you are a visionary, you are always ahead. They would dismiss you. You talk about breakthroughs. This is breakthroughs. But at that time, people don't pay attention to you because you break through and they don't see it. Because you are a visionary. By definition, a visionary is to see far. Other people don't see what you see. But people will give you credit in the future, not now. Another one is capitalism and democracy. I don't know if you still remember that, maybe you are still too young. In the 1990, at the end of the Cold War, when the Soviet Union collapsed, when the US was the In the unipolar moment, the U.S. is the dominant superpower. There's no other superpower at the time to confront the U.S. In America at that time, everyone believed that democracy and capitalism is the future. Everyone had to do what the U.S. does because that is the future. It stands at the highest achievement of human history. There's an end of history. There's no more history after that. We are the greatest. There cannot be new ideas afterward because that is the highest. America stands for the peak. I said at that time that that's not true. No one listened to me. I said that democracy will not last. It will be replaced by post-democracy. I also predicted that capitalism will not last. It will be replaced by post-capitalism. And I wrote several books about it. At that time, no one paid attention to me. No one talked about it. Everyone give a presentation. They call me names, even wrote me some nasty emails and called me names. But now more and more people ask me, what do you think about A, B, and C? Because they come to realize the meaning of my prediction now. Look at what is happening in democracy in America, in Europe, and capitalism, how things are working now. I just wrote another article on the future of innovation and invention after DeepSeek. How can DeepSeek is able to achieve something like that from a society which the U.S. dismissed as communist? But how can a communist society is able to produce something that even the U.S. cannot and the West cannot produce? I challenge the conventional wisdom. That's called breakthroughs. But people don't pay attention to you because you are ahead of them. But future history, not now, will give me the credit. But the current generation cannot because we are not there yet. So when talk about breakthrough, give me some examples. Those are some of my examples. But there are many more, but I don't have time to talk about each of them.
Yeah. Peter, I understand you only have limited time in the Gambia with regards to your philosophical beliefs that you're taught in countries to talk to people about your beliefs. And what, of course, message do you have for Gambians in this scholarly work that you have done in different areas that you've mentioned, from the sciences, technologies, you name it? What message would you have for Gambians, per se?
Normally, I don't give messages like this because you probably know about this. In the global south, okay, I don't know if you are aware of that term, many people are very resentful toward the post-colonial mindset controlled by Western powers and the advanced countries. They don't like you to come here and tell them what to do. In the older days, people are still doing that, especially from Western powers. They always come to Gambia, go to any other countries, and when they come in, they will lecture you, and they tell you what to do. They are the advanced, you are not the backward. So they have to lecture you what to do. The message that they send you is that, okay, don't do this, it's bad for you, do that, it's good for you. I don't like it. Because many of my visions is just the opposite. I predict in the future that those powers will be gone. And I have another vision which is called post-civilization. In another civilizational form that we are going to enter into is one in which many of the things that these powers have been doing will no longer be acceptable. So in a way, I am entering into the future that many people have not yet entered. And I try to tell them that this kind of paradigm that you have been indoctrinated to believe. And that's why sometimes the way that you ask questions, those questions are based on the paradigms that you have learned in school. So what are the messages? You get used to white people coming to Africa and tell you all this. And when they come, they always tell them, okay, what messages can you tell us in Gambia so that we can learn from you? This is the mindset that you have to get away from. Just the opposite that you are thinking. So I don't have this kind of message to tell you, but I can spend a lot of time talking about some of the major problems about underdevelopment in Africa, that what are the solutions to them, about poverty, about unemployment, about corruption, about inefficiency, about you name it. There are many issues confronting underdevelopment, not just in Africa, but in the global south that I just mentioned. Now that I can talk, but I don't want to talk like this is my message. Listen to me. Do what I said. No, this is very insulting.
Indeed.
And many people are still doing that. Trump is still doing that, by the way. Trump they will tell you actually, you do it or you don't. They will put sanctions on you, tariffs on you, bomb the hell of you. This is the colonial mindset, which is difficult to eliminate. But that is more or less in decline now, that kind of mindset.
indeed. Thank you so much, Dr. Peter Baofu, for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you on GRTS. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much. Well, we got the coattail there until we meet again next time. Thank you so much.
Okay.